What is going on, everybody? We are back at it with another episode of Stats or Politics, episode 190. As you can see, there are the two lone guys on the ship. It is me and our continuing guest, Keith. Keith, how you doing today, man? Thank you for joining us once again.
Well, I first of all, I disagree with the concept that we're the low guys. I would say more the most consistently right guys on this podcast. No Shaun Hoko today, so that means that this podcast will sail smoothly for once. But nonetheless, in all seriousness, great to be here.
Definitely, man. It's great to be here as well. Jaevon Totty will be joining us shortly. And like he said, Shaun will not be here today. So he did give me a lot of credit saying that this was going to run smoothly. But Keith, I know you've seen the episodes where Shaun is not here and the production side of things is just a tad bit delayed. But I'm going to do my best for the people watching on Instagram and YouTube. I'm going to get your comments up here as fast as I can. Just have some leniency with me because, like I said, the man behind the scenes is not here today. So we're going to do the best that we can without him. So we're going to get right into it. We are going to cover all things Eastern and Western semi-conference finals, from the Lakers being swept, unfortunately, to the 76ers getting swept, to the Minnesota Timberwolves taking a 3-2 lead, the San Antonio Spurs taking a 3-2 lead, and the Detroit Pistons and Cavs tied up at 2-2. So we are going to start with the game that just ended. The Spurs take a 3-2 lead. So, Keith, I got two questions for you. First off, what were your thoughts? Should Victor Wembanyama have been suspended after the elbow? And secondly, what were your thoughts on Game 5?
Well, let's start with the elbow. Should he have been suspended? It depends on how you look at it. Now, any real fan of the game that had watched the game could tell you before the elbow, obviously something triggered him to where he felt the need to respond. Obviously, McDaniels and Reed had him sandwiched on the block. Somebody did something to him in the back, and Vic just had enough. And the famous quote, Kevin, a man must know his limitations. And Victor Wembanyama, he reached his limitations, or so to speak, his boiling point. And he launched back, and he paid tribute to Macho Man Randy Savage, and he delivered the elbow of all elbows. I can only imagine. I don't want to know, but I can only imagine what a straight elbow to the throat would be from a 7'4", at least 200-pound grown man in the prime of his athletic peak would feel like. Look, at the end of the day, the NBA has an unwritten code. We don't want to see the best players in the biggest moments get thrown out of these games. We don't like seeing the superstars getting ejected. But at that point, you have no choice. You have to send a message. You have to throw him out. But I think the bigger question was, yes, I'm glad they did not suspend him for further games, especially like a pivotal Game 5 like we saw tonight, where he made such an impact, which we'll get into. Should he have been suspended? Yeah, you have to blow the whistle in that situation. I mean, a guy launches an elbow into the throat. You can only handle so much. But I also think it speaks to how they're calling this series, which we'll get into a little later on, what led to that elbow. But at the end of the day, he had to do that. Ref that's speaking what he had to do. Game 5, I called it in our group chat. I said, if he's out there and he's not throwing an elbow that leads to him getting suspended or ejected from a game, Spurs are going to handle him. And he did. Another 20-point piece, 17 rebounds. Keldon Johnson, 21 points off the bench, earning every part of that Sixth Man of the Year award. Anthony Edwards got off to a slow start. And if that's going to happen, Minnesota's going to lose 9 out of these 10 games. But again, I think Minnesota has reached a point where they've hit their peak. I think it's set in for them, especially when Reed tried to push Vic in the back in the third quarter and he didn't respond. It's like, okay, there's nothing we can do at that point. He's got everything under control. And so really, once that happened, the Spurs were going to win the game. I had no doubts about that. De'Aaron Fox, who, light the beam, has had a very struggling, very unfortunate series, so to speak, and maybe playoffs for lack of a better term. But specifically in this series, Kev, he has not played well. And I thought he did a great job of getting downhill, forcing the defense to come up on him in transition. You saw the lob to Fox or to Wembanyama from Fox where he just dropped it up at the top and Vic wouldn't got it. If the Spurs are going to play like that, and the Spurs are going to have everybody, and everybody means Wembanyama because he's going to drive the car, right? How far they go is how well he plays. And in reality, Minnesota, they've only won 2 games in these series. The first game where Vic didn't have a great scoring output. I think he only had like 11 points, a lot of rebounds, but only 11 points. He wasn't offensively locked in like he's been the last couple of games. And then the other night where he got ejected, that's literally been the only time Minnesota has won a game in this series when Wembanyama hasn't been a scoring threat. So I fully expect they don't finish it off in game 6. They'll come back to the Alamo, San Antonio, and finish it off in game 7. But, business as usual for the Los Spurs as they get ready for a death grip series against OKC, which we're all looking forward to watching.
Indeed, indeed. And before I kind of get my 2 cents on the game, I have a close friend of mine, Wesley Reynolds, who is a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, and he told me that the elbow was the equivalent to Draymond stepping on Sabonis. So I told him obviously it's not the same, and yes, does the background to what the person who has the act does that kind of hold weight? Yes, Draymond's been known for a dirty player, A, B, C, and D. But I believe if Victor Wembanyama steps on Nas Reed's chest, it's kind of it's not black and white. You just can't do that. The injury concern, I get it. Nas could have been seriously hurt. He could have had a concussion. He could have missed the game any which way. But as a Kings fan, I get it because I told him I had no skin in the game, so I wasn't surprised that Victor wasn't suspended. But when he compared it to Draymond stepping on the rib cage of a defenseless basketball player, I think those are completely different. Do you have any comparisons on the two?
Well, the only thing I would say to go piggyback off the Draymond Sabonis thing was that Sabonis may have grabbed Draymond's leg, allegedly. We don't really know. We as Kings fans, it's kind of like purple glasses, right? You're looking through the purple lenses. But there could have been an argument made that something led to Draymond to stomping on Sabonis when it happened, if you're playing devil's advocate. And it's kind of similar. However, I feel like the NBA reviewed everything and they saw, okay, there definitely was some physical contact before the elbow was launched. And again, this has been all series. If you go back to game 1, Gobert pushes Vic in the back going down the court. He falls down. This is going to be something really intriguing if San Antonio is indeed, like you and I both suspect, to finish off Minnesota and eventually does play Oklahoma City. Because there's been an entire 3-4 year convo about free throw merchant SGA. Oklahoma City gets all the calls. That was a huge thing in the Lakers series. How are they going to officiate that? That's going to be very, very, very intriguing because there's going to be a couple of times at least where SGA and Vic meet at the rim. And SGA is, if not the best, one of the best at drawing contact. And Vic isn't the biggest guy. So it's been really intriguing to see how the refs are giving him maybe not a superstar whistle, but the kind of whistle they're giving him. They're letting him play. Are they going to let teams bump him? The conference finals, and specifically the way the NBA goes about officiating that conference finals, because it's going to be one or the other. San Antonio or Minnesota. And if you remember, Minnesota had a lot of gripes about the officiating with Oklahoma City last year in the conference finals. So it's either going to be a repeat of last year or it's going to be San Antonio and to see how they call that game. But, it's been really intriguing to see how the refs are calling the contact that Vic gets. Because while he's really, really tall, like we mentioned, he's not really, really muscular or really, really thick. And so he's easier to push around and bump and get down the ground. They're going to have to take a look at this going forward because if this keeps happening, I know that, Mitch Johnson talked about it where he said, hey, we're not encouraging dirty play, but at some point he's going to have to stick up for himself going forward.
I agree. And the biggest thing that stood out to me tonight was Anthony Edwards is the one and only person that can get this team going. We always talked about the addition of Julius Randle. Another conversation I had with my friend Wes, I was like, if you can do it all over again, would you prefer to have Cat? And he's like, no, he's a defensive liability, Randle's a better scorer. But what I've seen from Karl Anthony Towns in this playoffs is that Minnesota Timberwolves fans all over need to be kicking themselves in the ass. I get it. They weren't able to make that jump with him, but like you mentioned, I think this team's kind of hit its ceiling. Like they're never going to be bad enough to get another Anthony Edwards, and they're never going to be good enough to win a championship. They're always going to be good enough to get out of the first round, but are they always going to be able to get out of that second round now that the West is only getting better? So it's going to be really interesting. We saw last game how Anthony Edwards literally had his handprint over that whole game, and it showed. And a lot of people like Shaun are going to say the only reason they won is because Victor went out. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how things go back to Minnesota. I'm expecting them to tie it up and go back to San Antonio. This is just a young team. I don't know if the Spurs are really going to have it mentally. I know this game had a little bit of extra juice based off all the altercation and all the things that were talked about beforehand. But role players play better at home. You talked about it. We saw Keldon Johnson go for 21 points. After last game, I think he scored 4 in 18 minutes. So we're seeing him play better. We're seeing Devin Vassell play better. All the guys, Carter Bryant's playing really well in his limited minutes. So they're playing at home in your own bed, sleeping, playing in front of your fans gets a little bit more energy. Now, we've seen Minnesota how crazy it gets there. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see if they're able to pull it out. But I'm definitely going to take the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 6. Before we close out, Keith, who will you be taking in Game 6?
I think because San Antonio has already proven they can go and win a close game in there, I'd be a little more inclined to pick San Antonio. I think Minnesota, if they don't win, it'll be a little bit about the Laker game last night, and we'll get to that later on. But I think they'll put up a great fight nonetheless. The other thing I want to mention before we hop off this plane is it can't be underestimated or overstated the loss of DiVincenzo, because I feel like DiVincenzo is one of those players that can get his own shot, create his own shot off the three, pull up mid-range, get to the bucket at times. And we really haven't been able to see that from the guards in this series, especially the way San Antonio has played defense. Obviously, Jaden McDaniels, he gave you 17 tonight. But really, I mean, you watch this game and you are, I think, taken aback by how Keldon Johnson off the bench was able to create his own shot. We mentioned Fox getting into the lane, but also Dylan Harper was really, really attacking the rim tonight. He had a really good finish a couple of times around the rim. And Vassell and Castle, I just really feel like the guard influx and the depth at the guard position that San Antonio has had in this series, where they're able to throw 3 guards out there in a small ball lineup when Vic is off on the bench. How they're able to put Plumlee in there and kind of mix things up with the rotations. It's really thrown Minnesota off, I think. And because they're not getting, like you mentioned, that production with Randall, etc., it's been hard. Before we get off this, I just want to put this in the memory bank, okay? Because we're getting there. We're getting closer to the Cold War matchup between Oklahoma City and San Antonio. Shaun Hoka, who's not here, I have it in text right here. I hope everyone can see this. And it's going to be a little difficult, but he's got Oklahoma City in 5 against San Antonio. Oklahoma City, who lost the season series against the San Antonio Spurs, are only going to win 1 game, according to the creator, the foundation of this podcast. So little to think about there if San Antonio closes it out in Game 6 and we eventually get the Oklahoma City-San Antonio series like a lot of us basketball fans have been clamoring for the last couple of months.
All I'm going to say, the Celtics beat the Knicks every game last year. What happened in the playoffs? Playoffs is a whole different game. Playoffs is a whole different beast. Playoffs is a whole different beast. That experience really comes into chalk. And since we're talking about the Boston Celtics, I think it's only right that we bring in the one and only Jaevon Totty. Welcome back to the podcast, man. It's been a while since we've seen you on the screen.
You guys have handled the Celtics' demise really well, I must say. Taking it in stride.
I thought everybody forgot that. I thought the coast was clear. Thought it was over, but yeah, man, it's safe to say if we would have played the Knicks, we probably would have got swept in 3 games. That would have probably been the first time that ever happened. But yeah, I mean, as far as this series goes, I mean, I think the Timberwolves are very ant reliant. Now I do understand that they have had some injuries to DiVincenzo. I'm not sure if he makes that much of a difference in this series. I still think, I mean, in Game 5, the game that Wemby got ejected, it was kind of a gift from God. They were still like hanging on. The Spurs were in that game. They almost could have won that game. Dylan Harper down the stretch was magnificent. Hit some really clutch shots, but Anthony Edwards just would not allow his team to lose, especially with the opportunity at hand when Victor Wembanyama being ejected. As far as this game goes, Wemby definitely had something to prove. Came out with had 18 in the first quarter, so he was basically a man on a mission from the start of the game. We kind of saw the glimpse of that in Game 4, and kind of going in. This game was supposed to happen in Game 4, but he got ejected, so it was like, fuck. You saw him on the sideline, like he was like, what does that mean? What's flavor 2 mean? And, he was looking, he was like, yeah, man, you're out of here. He was like, me? He was a Drewski me. What I do? And some people, like myself, thought he was going to get suspended for a game just based off of what I saw. It looked a little bit excessive, and it could have been warranted a suspension. I would have been surprised if they would have suspended him, but the league was like, hold on, man. We got a new star coming in. Can't eject him for Game 5. And again, we saw Dylan Harper. He was in his bag tonight. Getting to the basket, getting whatever shot that he wanted. Like I said, Anthony, where is Julius Randle? Has anybody seen him? Because I'm trying to figure out. There's an APB out for him. He's just been very just nonchalant this entire season. Rudy Gobert, we all know, is not an offensive prowess at all. He's there to be a defender, strictly, but they need scoring. That's literally what the Timberwolves need. They have anything you can ask for on defense. He locked up literally a 3-time MVP in the last series. So Rudy Gobert is giving you everything that he got. But on the offensive end, we all know that he's not really going to be that type of force that he is on the defensive side. As far as Anthony Edwards goes, we know what he's going to be capable of. But every time he touches the ball, 2 people are running at him. Every time he touches the ball, he's touching half court. Hey, y'all know what to do. And we're going to zone the back end of the defense. So, I mean, we're not going to let Anthony Edwards beat us. If he does, he's going to shoot a gajillion shots, and he's going to be a volume scorer for us. And that's basically what the San Antonio Spurs have done with him. I mean, just it's going to be tough, man. Game 6, I don't think they have enough juice. I mean, Anthony Edwards might go for 50 and they lose by 2 points. That's kind of what I'm assuming is going to happen. Like, Anthony Edwards is probably going to go off. But the Spurs are just too good, man. They have too much depth. For the team, Shaun mentioned this. I think this was in the last podcast. Minnesota Timberwolves were one of the most healthiest teams in the NBA. And as soon as the playoffs started, people just started dropping like flies. And it just shows to you what an NBA season can do to a bunch of players. You could be healthy the entire season, but the wheels start to fall off a little bit in the playoffs. And everybody has some sort of injury lingering in the playoffs. Not everybody is 100%. So it's going to be tough for the Timberwolves to figure out a way to scratch and claw. Like I said, if Julius Randle can show up, maybe they might be able to do something. Even Terrence Shannon has done what he can. We saw that in the closeout game in the Nuggets series, but it's kind of been up and down in this series. I thought he's been playing a little bit better than I would have expected, but I mean, guys like Ayo Dosunmu got to knock down shots. Jaden McDaniels, they need something, and it's not working out for them. So, Wesley, might have to start packing your bags, big dog. Hey, got a spot for you here in Cancun. It's nice out here, man. It's not that bad. It's really
Maldives.
not that bad out here. I'm letting you know, man. It's not that bad over here. So
before we move on, we all talked about the one and only Shaun Holko. He's been in the comments. So he wanted to make sure in the beginning that he let Keith know that was crazy shade, because Keith said this was going to be a well-run podcast without Shaun.
Want to roll, man. Michigan won the Natty. No Ohio State. I got to deal with Den, but no 2 Ohio State fans. Just one today. Just one.
Yeah. And then he took a shot at me, saying Minnesota barely beat the Spurs playing a team without Victor for a full half on their home floor. Stop, Kev. Hey, man, we're going to 7. Anthony's telling the people in the locker room, we coming back. Don't even worry about it. And then Uncle Manny, Spurs and OKC would be a great matchup. And you know what? If everything falls the way we all expect, we'll be having that series.
A lot of people are saying that's going to be the NBA Finals.
I don't know.
But the Knicks are playing great.
Where the Knicks are going.
The Knicks are playing great. So moving on to the Eastern Conference, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons tied at 2-2. Keith, I don't know how much of a Pistons fan you are, but the guy under us has been screaming Cade Cunningham since Oklahoma State. So, Toddy, I'm going to swing it to you first. The Pistons go up 2-0, and then they lose 2 games on the road. What were your thoughts on just the 4 games that we've seen so far in totality?
I kind of could say I expected this to happen because Cleveland has been undefeated in the playoffs at home. So, basically, whenever they go, if they could just play every game at home, they might win every game. Donovan Mitchell, we all know, is a very volume scorer, but we all know he has the ability to turn it up whenever. I mean, a couple years in the bubble, we've seen him against the Knicks a couple of years ago, just these 40-point playoff performances. He has a lot of them. And I think at any given point in time, he can go off for as much as he can. I thought the other story of this game was James Harden. We found him. He had a 24 and 11 this past game. I thought he was able to create easier shots for Donovan Mitchell, who albeit had 39 and a half. I don't know. There was something, I don't know what the stats are, but it's something in history.
First player in postseason history to have a 39-point half.
Yeah, hey man, that's what you want your stars to do. You want your stars to show up in big moments, especially in the playoffs. As far as the Pistons go, I think they're a team that's very, very Cade reliant. I feel like when the Cavs, the last 2 games, every single shot that the Cavs got, it seemed like it was easy. They're moving the ball around. Guys were getting open, and Donovan Mitchell has been phenomenal in these past 2 games. So it looked easier for him. As far as for Cade, it looked like he was scratching and clawing to get every single bucket possible, and it looked a lot harder for him to score it and create offense. We saw Tobias Harris in the first 2 games. It's these. The playoffs are obviously about the stars, but sometimes these role players have outer body experiences, like Tobias Harris, and we saw that just go away as soon as they hit the road. Now, it could just be the Cavs are just an unstoppable force at home, but at the same time, you need some level of consistency when it comes to role player performances in the playoffs. And I just think when Cade doesn't play well, they don't win. And I feel like with the Cavs, I feel like if Donovan Mitchell has a so-so game, the Cavs can still lean on guys like James Harden, Evan Mobley to go out and have some type of scoring prowess. But as far as the Pistons, I feel like if Cade does not have a 27, 11, and 11 triple-double, they're in trouble. And I think that's going to get them in trouble moving forward if they were to advance in the series. Whereas I think the Cavs are maybe a better matchup for the Knicks as far as if you go player for player. And obviously they have OG Anunoby, and I know we'll talk about him and the Knicks pretty soon. But I think as far as matchup-wise goes, I think the Knicks and the Cavs match up better. Now, when you look at the regular season, as Kevin and Keith were talking about earlier, the regular season matchup and how teams looked against each other in the regular season, it was a whole different story. The Knicks had no answer for the Pistons. But I think game slows down, playoff basketball, Jalen Brunson he did last year against basically virtually the same exact team. I know there are a couple of tweaks to this Pistons team now in the offseason from last year, but we've seen Jalen Brunson go on the road and close it out in 6 games, I believe it was last year. The Pistons couldn't win a home game. And it was one of the it was like the Pistons hadn't won a home game since however long it was until earlier this postseason. But I think if the Knicks if the Cavs are able to find a way to neutralize Cade Cunningham in game 6 coming up, I think the Pistons are going to be in trouble. And I just think they can't afford for Cade to have another bad game because they could go down 3-2 going back to Cleveland. It's damn near curtains. So I think for Cleveland, this game could be the series because it could definitely swing the momentum. They've obviously tied the series already at 2-2. And I think if Donovan Mitchell can replicate the same performance that he just had in game 5, which I think we all believe he is capable of, Cavs go in the series. But at the same time, the Pistons are the number 1 seed for a reason.
Yeah, and that reason why they're a 60-win team and they're the number 1 team for a reason, I think really had to speak for Jalen Duren. He averaged 20 points and 11 rebounds in the regular season, and his playoff stats have been horrendous. He's averaging 10 points and 8 rebounds. That is a huge drop-off.
Isn't he up for $200 million?
Mm-hmm. He's going to get $200 million. You know why, Keith? I see your face. For 82 games, he was an all-NBA player, all-star. He's going to get paid. But now it's like, we got 200. Your playoff numbers were cut in half. We got 175. And where that goes is going to be very interesting because I was one of the biggest fans of Jalen Duren because he turned down an extension because he wanted to bet on himself. And for him to play at that level throughout the remainder of the season, and then his stats only went better when Cade went down. So I don't understand the difference. I don't understand. They're still getting him involved. He's still taking the shots. They're just not going in. And you can see in the first round series, there were games where he'd show up, games where he didn't show up, games where he showed. And you can't be an all-NBA player, all-star, and Wendell Carter's giving you hell. Jared Allen, I get it. Wendell Carter can't give you hell. And they were down in that series 3-1. And in the closeout game, he had the best game of his series. So if they can get that Jalen Duren, the Game 7 Jalen Duren, and 82 games Jalen Duren, this is going to be one of the best teams in the East. But when you have to rely on a guy like Tobias Harris to go out there every night and give you 20, a Karis LeVert to give you 23 and you still lose, I think the Cavs have taken all the shots that the Pistons can get. So I think this is signed, sealed, to deliver. I don't think the Pistons stand a chance. And I think the Cavs will go off and win 4 in a row. So, Keith, what are your thoughts on the overall series? Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons tied 2-2.
I think whoever wins Game 5 is going to win the series. And it's a very important Game 5 for a lot of reasons. Detroit is in this series primarily because Orlando folded up like 20-plus points. We would not be having the Pistons convo right now that we are having if the Magic could have hit a shot in the last 20 minutes on that Friday night. But we're here. I want to go off a couple things that Toddy talked about. I fully am 100% on they need Cade to play out of his mind or they're going to run the risk of losing train with the Pistons. Every game that we've seen in the playoffs that Cade has taken over, they've either won or come pretty darn close. Game 3 was the best shot they had to win that one. Why was it? Because Cade gave him like 25 plus, 10 plus, 10 plus. So if Cade doesn't perform up to an MVP caliber type of performance, they're behind the 8 ball. You go to the Duren situation. Yeah, all NBA, 20 plus a game in the regular season. I get that. But what you find out in the NBA playoffs, it's kind of like Major League Baseball. You could have a 20-game win pitcher with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. But if I've seen that fastball 5 times in the regular season, another 4 times maybe in the postseason, I can time that fastball. Then it becomes, okay, you have the fastball, show me the curveball. And we find out the curveball is junk. Well, we're finding out about Jalen Duren. The offensive game is just limited. He's a rim runner who made his bones off of rebounds and lobs from Cade and putback dunks. He has a limited post game. Defensively, if you're able to get the first step on him in the post, it can be barbecue chicken. So, yeah, $200 million, it just has not been a great postseason for him because he's gone up against people arguably like Wendell Carter Jr., who Kev pointed out, yeah, from a talent standpoint, maybe better than physically, but the bag and the footwork for Carter Jr. and the jump shot showed kind of like those deficiencies. And then you go up against a guy like Evan Mobley, and Mobley, maybe he hasn't put it all together. The ceiling hasn't matched where the potential is just yet, but still, he's no joke either. And my biggest fear is, okay, if you beat Cleveland, what's going to happen when you go up against Cat? What's going to happen when you go up against Mitchell Robinson? You see where I'm going with this? So I really feel like the Cavaliers, for as bad as the Pistons have been flipping the switch on and off, are in that same boat. I don't know which Donovan Mitchell I'm going to get at times. I definitely don't know which James Harden I'm going to get at times. That has a proven track record right there. Shout out Shaun Hoko. But the one thing about Donovan that we have seen for the last 5 or 6 years is he could have a really bad night, and then in a blink of an eye, he's giving you 39 in the second half. He's giving you 60 in the bubble. He has these offensive spurts where it's like you could double team him. You could do a box and one. You could try to push him, get him off his rocker. If he's feeling it offensively, all you can do is hope that he passes the ball out of a double team or something like that. And I agree with Toddy. The Cavs have so many layers of guys that can score on any given night. How did the Cavs end the situation in the first round? They had a monster game from Jared Allen. Nobody saw that coming, right? So there's Allen, there's Mobley. They've got Harden, who, listen, I've been on record. He's at the end of the road, but he can still give you quality points. It's going to be really interesting to see the type of energy Cleveland comes out with in Game 5. Because I really do feel like if Cleveland comes out in Game 5 from the standpoint of we're going to blitz them, if they're getting the turnovers they've been getting the last couple of games, and they get out to like a 10 or 12-point lead, I really feel like they can slam the door shut on Detroit momentum-wise, but they've got to take them out early in Game 5. But I really do feel like whoever wins Game 5 probably wins the series, and there might be more pressure on Cleveland, I might say, to win Game 5 because they know about James Harden's shortcomings. They know about the shortcomings Donovan Mitchell has faced. You win Game 5, you go back to Cleveland in Game 6 with a chance to shut that out. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard, but I've picked Cleveland to win the next 2. I hate to say it, Shaun Hoko, but the Detroit Pistons NBA championship hopes, I think they stop here.
Toddy, did you give us your official pick for the rest of the series?
No, I was actually pulling up the odds because, I am a gambler and I like to gamble on the show. They are giving the Cavs 3.5 points. So, I mean, it's not like when they were going up against the Magic, they were a 10 double-digit favorites, 10-point favorites. So, I mean, Vegas is trying to tell you that the Cavs got a little bit of a shot. You know me, I like to roll that dice. So, I think I might be taking the Cavs to win the series.
Okay, yeah. And so I'm gonna just give you guys a little bit of insight. The Cavs are going to win Game 4 or Game 5, and then Game 6, it's gonna have a little bit of different energy in their arena. You know why? The King is gonna come back, and they're gonna win in 6, and everyone's gonna lose their fucking minds.
The King will pull a Dylan Brooks.
Nah, fuck Dylan Brooks.
The King pulling a Dylan
Brooks. I need the Cavs to win, and then I need them to get absolutely embarrassed by the Knicks. Because I need them to say, are we just a LeBron James away? Mike has been dropped, and we will be moving on.
By the way, keep in mind, Detroit's going to have to look at this offseason going forward. They're going to need another scorer. They're going to go in the open market. And they're going to need another scorer. Take Zach LaVine, please.
A Devin Booker, a Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's
please
a lot of
Giannis. Giannis would ruin this team.
I mean, you'd have to get rid of Duran. You can't play both. But it would be interesting, man. Cade needs help. Just like Uncle Manny said, Cade definitely needs help. We just talked about this with the Thunder, or not the Thunder, the Timberwolves. Having one guy, if you only have one guy, if he doesn't come play, it's going to be a long game. So this is episode 190. I am Kevin Dent stepping in for Shaun Hoko. Shaun with my side, or I am joined with my guys Keith and Jaevon Toddy. Episode 190 of Stats Over Politics. We are now going to move on to the New York Knicks, sweeping the 76ers. I want to just give my quick thoughts on this. I feel like these next 2 topics will be very, very quick. Not much to really say on them. These closeout games for the Knicks have been over in 4 minutes. And I don't get it. I remember Toddy and I made a parlay against the Hawks, and we checked the phone 4 minutes into the game, and they're up 40. This game, Miles McBride comes out there and hits 4 threes back to back. They shot 57% from three. This New York Knicks team is looking unstoppable. And can they go to the finals? I think they can. I think this is going to be the first time in our lifetime we're going to see it. But I don't know, man. And it hurts because their coach, Mike Brown, there's a world where the Knicks play the Spurs, and that is the ultimate fuck you Sacramento Kings NBA Finals. There's a chance where our franchise player and coach are in the NBA Finals, and we are trying to decide who we're picking number 7. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Keith, what are your thoughts? I know it was a quick series. Joel Embiid came back, and he said some things after the games, but what were your overall thoughts on these very quick 4 games?
The New York Knicks are going to the finals. We are going to get the New York Knicks going to the finals before the release of GTA 6. You can book it right now. As a person who worked in upstate New York, who visited NYC more than a handful of times, I feel like it is my God-given right to go all in on the beloved New York Knicks. Shout out Dollar Bill Bradley, Dave DeBuscher, Walt Clyde Frazier, Mike Breenan, the whole contingent. You better pray for New York City, because the night the Knicks go to the finals, there will not be a New York City. It will cease to exist as we knew it. The Statue of Liberty, Madison Square Garden, that's for sure toast. The subway stations, any pizza spot you can think of, Broadway, it's all gone. And it's going to be for a great cause, because the Knicks fans, they have been as tormented as any franchise fan base in the history of North American sports. They deserve it. And yeah, I mean, the crazy part is this. I grew up listening and watching tales post 1973, the New York Knickerbockers win the NBA championship. For 53 years, what have we known as basketball fans? The Knicks will not let you down. Be patient. And what have we seen? John Starks, ice cold in Game 7 in the finals versus Houston. Reggie Miller, 8 points in less than 30 seconds. Knicks choke it away. Patrick Ewing in Game 7. All he has to do is dunk the ball. He tries to lay it up. They lose. All the Knicks fans have known for their entire lives have been the Knicks blowing it when it matters the most. And the fact that these last 2 closeout games, there's been that, the Knicks, they might blow it. They could blow it still. And they're like, nah. They put a 40 ball on the Hawks. Deuce McBride has the Deuce McBride of all games and just comes out red hot. And what do you like to see going into this conference finals? Karl Anthony Towns. Everybody has said Cat is the weak link on this team. Not the weakest link. Jalen Brunson, the last 2 playoff reigns, he's been dealing with ankle issues. He's 100% healthy. Bridges is shooting the ball at a decent clip. Everything is lined up for the Knicks to get to the finals. And we might talk about the Sixers. They're not really talk about. I mean, I told you what I said like 2 weeks ago. They should have never given Embiid the extension. The McCain trade Shaun talked about in one of our group chats, that was the final straw for Morey. RIP the process. I think now you have the W that you needed. Give the keys to Maxey and Edgecombe going forward. Try to maybe blow this thing, tweak it a little bit, but that needs to be your focal point. You have got to try to unload Embiid if you can at this point for pennies on the dollar. But that's not the situation at hand, the main topic. The main topic is kudos to the New York Knicks fans because they finally have a team that seems to put their foot on the other team's neck when it's time to close it out, baby.
And before I pass it on to Toddy, Keith mentioned all the heartbreaks. No Indiana Pacers? No Tyrese Halliburton?
Well, that's just it's It is what it is.
You
at
brought
that
up the
point,
choke.
man.
If you're gonna bring up one choke, you gotta talk about both.
In a soliloquy like that, you're limited to one Pacers knife in the heart for the Knicks fans. I didn't want to give them both in that situation.
Respect. All right, Toddy. What were your thoughts? The New York Knicks sweep the Sixers that did beat your Celtics.
Daryl Morey is a liar. I just want to let everybody know. Yeah, so I mean, Daryl Morey got canned today. Sixers were kind of over his bullshit. I think James Harden was trying to tell us something years ago, and we just wouldn't listen to him. And it just feels like it was just so fast. Like I think in like a week span, you go from beating the Celtics in 7 to losing in 4 games. Albeit Embiid did not play game 1. It just looked like it was just a bad matchup. Just the margins of victories, I think it was the Knicks by double digits, Knicks by double digits, Knicks by 6, Knicks by double digits, Knicks by 50. So, I mean, it's just like the Knicks are red hot, man. And it's just like, I think Mike Brown figured out a way to, hey, let's not run our starters into the ground. Let's actually use our bench and let's utilize them in ways that, obviously Thibodeau couldn't. But I think this Knicks team just looks a lot more well-oiled. I do think at times they get a very, very Jalen Brunson reliant, like, please go save us. But at the same time, the Knicks are one of the top teams in the playoffs when it comes to assists. So I think there's a lot of ball movement going around offensively for them. And Mikael Brown, or not Mikael Brown. Wow, I'm blanking on his name. But I think for them to not have OG Anunoby in the majority of this series. Say that one more time.
Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges. There we go. Thank you.
I was trying to figure out who you're talking about, but then he said OG. I was like, okay.
I just think it was evident how just overmatched that they were against the Sixers. And albeit the Sixers were playing great against the Celtics, I just think Embiid he was on his last – he used all of his energy in the last series, and we kind of saw him look very just Embiid-ish. And I think him playing 50 games and been on and off the court and just being unavailable, and I don't know. I mean, when Keith was on the last time Keith was on the podcast, he was talking. Me and him were talking about what do the Sixers do? Should they just get rid of Joel Embiid and let Tyrese Maxey rock and VJ Escombe be the future? I 100,000% agreed with them, and that was before the Celtics lost to the Sixers, and they ended up going on that run. I mean, with the firing of Daryl Morey, I think that's kind of a little bit of a sign of, hey, maybe we should just take a step back, reset, see what we can get for Joel Embiid. Hey, remember it? Look how good he looked in the Celtics series, and he averaged this and that. And don't worry about the Knicks. That was just, he was just hurt and blah, blah, blah. And, well, he's hurt all the time. So it will be interesting to see what this NBA free agency will look like. Obviously, we've heard about Milwaukee opening up the phone lines about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think people will start to call about Joel Embiid as well. I just don't know if the Sixers are going to get what they think he is worth. But at the same time, we all know that the best ability is availability. And if you're not able to play, why would I mortgage my future for you to come play for us at the same time? So the Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think whoever they play in the Eastern Conference Finals, they're probably going to win in 6 games, 5. So, hey, man, once upon a time, Coach Brown was the Kings head coach, and now he's in the Eastern Conference Finals. De'Aaron Fox, he was the focal point, top 5 pick.
You'd have to bring it up again.
And
Kevin Huerter on the Pistons. You want to go farther, Toddy? Come on, what are we trying to prove here?
Kevin Huerter, I guess, was on the Pistons. That's a good pull for it by Keith. But I mean, the Kings just have they got their ties.
Hey, man, it's not a Kings topic, all right?
Hey, if you want to talk about the draft lottery, you got to wait till the end of the show, all right? Stick to the script.
We didn't take one shot at the Celtics, but now we're just taking shots at the Kings.
I just think you guys know what you're doing, man. You guys had everything in house, and then once they got out of house, they told everybody, "Hey, we're still pretty good, guys. It's not us."
Well, I just got punched in the gut for this topic because all roads lead back to Sacramento, and unfortunately, as you guys can see the background, I have LeBron James in the background. So I'm going to get punched in the gut again. The Thunder sweep the Lakers. I'm lost for words. Toddy, I'm going to pass it to you first, and I'm going to try to build the courage to say what I want to say. What are your thoughts?
It's just LeBron's old. Now, if LeBron was like 32, he probably would have been able, like 32-year-old LeBron might have been able to maybe make some shake. I just think this OKC team is I don't think we're talking about how good this OKC team actually is without Jalen Williams and the emergence of AJ Mitchell. They have something that they need to discuss. And Jalen Williams makes $200-something million, and AJ Mitchell makes $3 million. So, I mean, and obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander threw an all-world closeout game for him with 35 points in LA. It just the Lakers didn't have enough firepower. Obviously, Luka Doncic just was absent the entire playoffs, and it sucks because the run that he was on going into the playoffs, healthy Luka and healthy Austin Reeves and LeBron just kind of hey, I'm still LeBron, but I'm not really the main guy, focal point in the offense. They were a scary team coming into the playoffs. A lot of people didn't really want to play that version of the Lakers, but then Luka goes down with the injury. Austin Reeves simultaneously goes down, and then LeBron has to carry them to a series victory against the Rockets. And then, Austin Reeves comes back and just, you never really got to see the Lakers at full strength. I would have loved what they would have been able to look like against this OKC team because they did not have another scoring juggernaut in Jalen Williams. So, but we did get to see Chet Holmgren kind of have his little his resurgence of being maybe I'm the number 2 guy. And obviously, I already mentioned AJ Mitchell. This guy's been on an absolute tear this entire playoffs, and he's putting the world on notice. How good this? I mean, it's really just a credit to Sam Presti, who somehow is picking the lottery once again and has just guys that haven't even played that are former lottery picks, like guys like Topic, and there's one more guy that we have not seen.
Thomas Sober.
Yeah. Just this guy is just an all-time GM. He's in his duffel bag. So
some would say the Howie of NBA. Howie
Rose. Say that. I mean, Presti was this close to being in the top. It could have been really scary if they would have ended up getting that top 5 pick. But I do think just the Lakers were just outmatched. I mean, LeBron did it as best as he could. He's 41 years old. Nobody is doing this at this age. And Kevin sent me a screenshot earlier, the side-by-side Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James stats for this series. Albeit, I would say it was a little bit skewed just because they threw the kitchen sink at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that was basically what Kevin said the game plan was. Hey, Shai, we're going to try and take him away. Let's see if Chet, AJ Mitchell, somebody else could beat us, and that's basically what happened. So, hats off to the Lakers, man. I mean, a lot of people were kind of speculating on what LeBron's going to do. I don't think he's going to retire. I feel like LeBron's the guy to say, hey, he's going to it's going to be a fucking movie, like a red carpet. It's going to be an event when he's going to announce his retirement because, I mean, my God, LeBron's been playing basketball ever since I was a child. So I don't think he's the type to just say, all right, guys, that's it. I'm done. I think he's going to all right, this is my last year. He'll have like a farewell tour and the whole shit. And ticket prices will be insane for wherever city that he goes.
Kevin will be selling his kidney to go watch him play in Portland.
There we go. So, just the Lakers they were outmatched. OKC's a juggernaut. OKC's probably going to go to the finals again. But we'll see the health based on J-Dub. And I mean, the Spurs team is also very good too. So,
all right, Keith, what are your thoughts? Lakers go down 4-0, and that's all she wrote.
Well, my first thoughts are I strive to be as successful in life going forward as Dylan Brooks is successful as being the biggest hater, maybe in the history of civilization. I don't think there's anybody who's been a bigger hater than Dylan Brooks. Showing up to your enemy's funeral, he is the real life equivalent of that guy posted up in the all black fit at the funeral that posted on IG. He is that meme. In all seriousness, I'm not going to sit here and dance on the Lakers' grave. I actually commend the Lakers for the way they fought last night. They went down swinging until the bitter end. Reeves, obviously LeBron gave him another 20 ball. Jackson Hayes gave him 18. They fought to the end. And Oklahoma City proved why they are the defending champs. They proved why from here on out, they're going to be a handful for anybody to beat 4 out of 7 times in the conference finals. And if they get past that, then the NBA finals. It's tough for me as one of the biggest LeBron fans to know the writing is on the wall, that the end is coming. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's got 1, maybe 2 years left. But my biggest concern going forward for LeBron is, what is the goal? Because we knew what the goal was with Kobe. Kobe so desperately wanted to get that 6th championship, but his body betrayed him. LeBron's body, you can make the argument, if you're not going to make LeBron the greatest player of all time in the history of basketball, at least make him longevity-wise the greatest basketball player at all time. LeBron's been going at this now since darn near at a high level, if you include high school, from the age of 16 to now. That's 25 plus years of basketball, 25 years of training. There's FIBA games, there's Olympics, there's at least 5 NBA Finals appearances in there. So realistically, for at least half of LeBron James's life on this earth, he has played at the highest level, at the most competitive level of basketball in the world for 20 plus years. And albeit a couple of nicks and knacks here or there, he's healthy. He had another 24 points last night, had another 12 rebounds. It's not like LeBron went out there last night and gave him 6 points. He's still effective. He can still play. But my thing is, what are we trying to achieve? Because even with LeBron, even with Luka, there's so many things wrong with this team. And again, even if Luka is out there, yes, he can score the basketball, but defensively, he's such a liability. You're playing 4-on-5 darn near every single night with Luka out there. So if the goal is to win a championship, you can't stay in LA because the West is too tough. Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. San Antonio's not going anywhere. You think Anthony Edwards and Minnesota are just going to lie down? And that's not including the Houstons. That's not including a bunch of other teams that are on the rise. So the West is tough. And then if you go to the East, I mean, realistically, if anyone brings them on their team, like a huge competitor or somebody that's going to contend for a title, what is LeBron going to be? The second, the third option, maybe? So I don't see a situation where he would do that and say, oh, I'm fine taking a back seat. I think he would want to stay in LA. But if I'm the Lakers, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. But do I still want LeBron? Do I still want all that comes with it? Do I still want to put him on the floor knowing that my team's not going to be any better? I'm nowhere closer to a championship with LeBron, hate to say it, than I am without LeBron. So this offseason, there's going to be some interesting conversations to have been had in LA. Because if they're being really honest with themselves, this whole Luka thing, it ain't worked out too good, since he's been here. He's had this injury. The weight's still in flux. The Lakers, and maybe it's more of a Laker thing, the Lakers are going to have some more interesting things to deal with here because the roster is decent. I mean, you beat Houston without Durant, but I think you still would have beat them without Durant to where you can still be a competitive team. I don't think they're in that upper echelon that's going to compete for a championship in the West anytime soon. And LeBron's getting older. We know Luka doesn't want to care for his body the way he has in the past, even though he did shed a lot of weight. But again, in closing this out, Toddy made a great point. I think it speaks more to Oklahoma City. And when do we start making the argument that Sam Presti is the greatest general manager to ever walk the earth? Because every single move he makes, and I hope they really think about a documentary about this one day. Has there ever been a general manager in the history of North American professional sports that has executed the perfect rebuild, not once, but twice? Because he's done it twice now. He had Harden, he had Westbrook, he had Durant, then he had to blow the whole thing up. And he rebuilt it from scratch, and it's better than it happened the first time. So, I mean, at what point do we understand that Sam Presti is the Yoda, the wise sage of the NBA, and everything he touches turns to gold? I don't know, but he's got my vote for the greatest general manager of all time. And I think that should be more of the story, but because it is the Lakers, they're going to grab the headlines with LeBron, unfortunately.
Definitely. So this is episode 190 of Stats or Politics. We have 2 more topics left. So we're going to switch things up. Keith, you participated in this or that, correct? Perfect. All right. So we have a this or that Chet Holmgren edition. First name up, Zion Williamson.
I'll take Zion Williamson.
I'll take Chet.
Yeah, I'll take Chet in a heartbeat.
No,
I get it. They're both injury prone.
I get it. If Zion was on this fucking OKC team, they'd probably have 2 or 3 championships by now. That's me. But I understand. I get it. I understand he's hurt. He's blah, blah, blah. He's still like 26 years old.
I get it. I can hear the argument, brother. It was a hard guy going against the Dookie. Next name, Paolo Banchero.
Give me Chet.
Give me Chet. I feel like Paulo's gap offensively is the same gap Chet defensively. So give me Chet.
I'll take Paolo Banchero.
Next name, Cooper Flagg.
Cooper Flagg.
I'll take Flagg. I'll take the main event.
I'm taking Cooper Flagg for sure. Next name, Domantas Sabonis.
Give me Chet.
Yeah, give me Chet.
Give me Chet. All right, Shaun's watching. I just want you guys to know this. Next name, Lauri Markkanen.
Chet Holmgren.
Give me Chet Holmgren as well.
That was easy.
These last 2 names are gonna be interesting names. Anthony Davis.
I'll take Chet. Okay.
I'm taking Chet. But go ahead.
The same thing with Zion Williamson is just AD is older, so it's just. You don't
know what you're gonna get out of AD this year anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. But AD obviously, when healthy, is
you get the first pick. That's what you get if he's on your team, apparently.
Yeah. So I mean,
crack the code.
Last name, Karl Anthony Towns.
I take Cat.
I'm gonna take Chad, man. If you're gonna be a big man, and all these big men can score, the thing that separates them is defense. If it wasn't for a Victor Wembanyama, this dude would be a 4 or 5 time defensive player of the year. But he's never gonna win one because of that. So I think that holds a lot of weight. So I'm gonna take the defensive, the guy who can put it on both ends. So give me Chad. Who are you taking, Toddy?
I'll take Karl Anthony Towns.
I get it. So that is going to close out for this or that, Chet Holmgren. We are now going to talk about the NBA draft lottery. So before we get into it, I'm just going to go through the order. For the audio-only listeners, Keith is already grinding his gears. As you guys know, the Kings did land the number 7 overall pick. So the order goes as stated. Washington Wizards, number 1 pick. Utah Jazz at 2. Memphis Grizzlies at 3, Chicago Bulls 4, Los Angeles Clippers 5, via the worst trade in NBA history with the Indiana Pacers. Brooklyn Nets at 6, Sacramento Kings 7, Hawks 8, Mavericks 9, Bucks 10, Warriors 11, Thunder 12, Heat 13, and Hornets 14. So, Toddy, I'm going to swing it to you first. What are your overall reactions to the lottery? How do you think things are going to fall out? I know a lot of things are going to change from today and the actual draft day. You know, Giannis is now on the market. So what are just your overall thoughts on how the draft lottery is going to impact next season?
I thought the draft lottery was pretty insane for how little coverage I thought it got, because it was the same day as the Knicks Sixers playoff game. So I thought it deserved a little bit more coverage. They kind of like squeezed it in on the same day as that and kind of meshed them together. I think the Wizards are in prime position to do something crazy. If they're able to get really good production from Trae Young, he's averaged 26 and 12 for how many seasons now? Anthony Davis is the biggest what if the last couple of seasons. If he's able to get you what he's getting you, then that'll be good. And you add an AJ DeBonsa to that lineup, or Darren Peterson to that lineup, it would be. I think they could be a playoff team just going into next season. The East is just whatever it is now. I think with that particular lineup, I think the Wizards can be like a top whatever seed in the East. I think Chicago kind of lucked up, just coming from the depths of Hades. Them getting a top 4 pick, they are somehow saved. They just fired their head coach, and they're incapable Wilson. That's gonna make me just, it grinds my gears when teams like that are able to just, get rewarded in a sense. You look at teams like Brooklyn, who basically just punted on the entire season, and they are not even picking in the top 5. Kings fans are very, very upset. I don't know why. Because you guys can still kind of wiggle at 7. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to move up or stick and pick, but I do think I think the worst kept secret is the Kings want Darius Acuff. I think he's a guy that could potentially fall to 7, but at the same time, you're looking at it. His offensive game was so prominent last year, especially in the NCAA tournament, that he might not make it out of the top 5. And I think there's a bunch of – I think the Clippers could be willing to listen at offers with a desperate team like the Sacramento Kings. And I do think the Kings got to do something if they want to, I think, swing big in this draft. At the same time, it's very, very tough when you are paying the luxury tax and you're a lottery team. It's so ass backwards. it's very ass backwards. But I'm very excited to see, because everybody was really, really headstrong on being in the top 4. But I do think there's a lot of really good players outside of that, like guys like Michael Brown, Wagler, Acuff, Koa P. There's a bunch of really good guys outside of that range. But I think those 4 guys are like franchise-changing players, and that's kind of what everybody's really, really bummed out about. But at the same time, I still think there's a lot of really good players in this draft.
Keith, what are your thoughts on the NBA lottery?
To quote the intro music to Family Matters, it's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. I'm going to paint you guys a picture for how my weekend went in Sacramento, because there's a bigger picture to this story leading into the lottery on Sunday. I go into Sacramento on Friday, and I have a ball. I'm hitting every spot because I rarely come back anymore. McCooney's, I hit that. Jack's Urban Eats, I hit that. I'm everywhere. I get to go up to the Sawyer, Revival at the Sawyer, and I'm poolside at 12 p.m. Sun shining. I'm out by the pool. I got no business being in that place. It's out of my tax bracket, but I'm there. And if I'm there, I'm there. So I'm golden, right? I go downstairs, and I look out into the lobby where they have like the, I guess you could say the valet, so to speak. Who do I see? I see Devon Davis, videographer for the Sacramento Kings, and I see the Deuce Mason, the Beacon himself. And Deuce is getting ready to go to Chicago because he's the media representative for the Kings. And we're talking, and Devon's like, what pick do you think they're going to get to Deuce? And we're thinking top 4, right? Because we're 5, and you got to play the odds. We did it the right way. We didn't tank. We just
You
sucked.
just suck.
We just sucked, man. So, like, I thought karma was on our side. Now, if you remember distinctly, during the pre-lottery, there's a pre-lottery to this thing, they pan to the ping pong balls and the board or whatever. And keep in mind, the media representatives had already known the order. They already picked. And who should be on the screen, Kev, Todd? This Deuce Mason. And I saw Deuce's face look into the camera. He ain't look happy. And that's when I knew kind of we were screwed. And we were, man. To see that ball come up 7, Mark Tatum open that envelope, number 7, oh, it crushed my soul. It crushed my soul. But it couldn't have been worse, gentlemen, than the Indiana Pacers fans who thought that they could get in the top 4 if Tyrese Halliburton could come back off the Achilles from a finals berth. And they could get somebody to pair Tyrese Halliburton. They'd be golden. And they had to watch that envelope open and get 5, which means they get nothing. Why? Because they traded it for Zubac to the Clippers.
He's got to be shocked now.
And then the GM had to come out and say, I apologize. This is not the way I imagined it was going to go. Yeah, you think? On a serious note, after all that settled, I'm really optimistic because I really do feel like Toddy mentioned there's a group of guards at that 5 to 7 range that I think can make an impact in different ways. I like Acuff. I am very worried about the defense with Acuff because as we've seen with Harden and Luka, it's cool to have a great score, but if one of your best players is a defensive traffic cone, that's a big problem. I would be more inclined as it stands right now, and I know Fleming's had a great combine, the measurables. He was the highest rated jumper as far as like elevation, vertical leap out of all the guards of the combine. I think he clocked like 40.5, which is insane. I watched Keaton Vogler in the tournament put on a show in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and the semifinal and the Final Four. And the one thing I liked was he refused to let them lose. He kept playing, kept competing. He's not a true point guard. They play him at the 2, but he's got a great handle for the basketball. My only concern would be, are the Kings going to want to go that route again? Because we still have Clifford off the rookie campaign, and he's going to be more aligned to slot it in at the 2. I think whoever they take is probably going to be a point guard. But it'll be interesting to see if a team in the same division, like let's say LA, they like somebody and we try to do a little swap with the 5 and the 7 and we try to unload one of these bad contracts or whatever to move up. But again, if we're the ones moving up, we're going to be giving up more. And I just don't like the idea of first draft in for Scott Perry going all in on a player. And look, Vogler's going to be good, I believe. I think Acuff's got his intangibles. But again, Boozer, Wilson, Peterson, and DeBonsa, after those 4, there's kind of like a tail off. I don't know if you want to get up so much to get one of those second-tier guys, but this is exactly why. For all the heartbreak we endured as fans watching that, this is why all the people who say it's not right to have a lottery, they need to just do it based off the worst team first. No, this is exactly why. Because regardless, Kev, if it was another dagger in the heart to us, you have to admit, my guy, it was, without a doubt, the most exciting, exhilarating, heartbreaking, heart-pounding half hour that you watched, because that Knicks game wasn't anything worth a damn. Everybody that loves the game of basketball was glued to that thing, regardless if your team made out great or not. They'll never get rid of the lottery because it's still one of the most exciting events in NBA has to offer. There's, collusion, and there's tales of corruption, and there's all these conspiracy theories. It just makes for great entertainment for the league. And again, if these teams are going to be on that BS trying to tank the way they do, Adam Silver, we've tweaked it a little bit. He's not getting rid of that lottery anytime soon. Even though the Kings have always broke my heart, I'm still pro lottery.
Keith, I want you to hear what I'm saying, not with your heart. I want you to think. I want you to put your basketball mind on. Okay, you said it. It goes top 4, then it goes tier 2. I told Toddy I figured it out. I crunched the numbers, and I have a way for us to come out of here successful. We trade the number 7 overall pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we drop back to 12, and we get AJ Mitchell, right? There's no guarantee that these guards are going to be anything. We know what AJ Mitchell is today, May 12th. We know what AJ Mitchell is. Second round contract, 2 more years on his deal. He's a cheap deal, right? And we trade back, and we're also able to get a Koa Pete, a Nate Ament, a Brandon Burries. We're still able, in that 12 range, we're still able to get one of those tier 2 guards. We have not had the best history with guards. We've drafted 4 over the last 9 years. 1 is on our team. 3 of them are starters on other teams. We saw that. We brought in, I keep forgetting his name, and I should have really looked him up. The guy from France that we signed to a 2-year contract. We brought in
Hayes.
Russ.
Got Hayes.
Killian Hayes. We brought in Russ, and we have Devin Carter. We have a logjam in damn near every position. Let's let this point guard thing run its course for 1 more year, because what we saw out of Killian and what we saw out of Devin Carter late into the season, and Russell Westbrook showed that he can still be a starting point guard. We're not in a position to where we need to go all in. AJ Mitchell will be a foundational piece, because after this time next year, we won't have a Sabonis, or we won't have a Zach LaVine. We won't have a DeMar DeRozan. So this team is going to open up. And to start with a guy like AJ Mitchell will take us a long way. And yes, does not picking in the top 4 suck? Of course. But with the new lottery rules, we can pick in the top 4 for the next 2 years and be okay. So as a team that is starting to rebuild, I want to take the Oklahoma City model. Let's pour into 1 to 2 guys and just let them play. Those 2 guys being AJ Mitchell and Keegan Murray. I get it. We can bring in a guard, but this guard's not going to be able to flourish with a Sabonis, with a DeMar, with a Zach LaVine. AJ Mitchell's played with other guys, and he's flourished. I think AJ Mitchell is what the Sacramento Kings need. Is that a very high asking price? The 7th overall pick? Yes. But AJ Mitchell is going to be that. And maybe we can get another one of those lottery picks that don't play. You know, I don't think AJ Mitchell for 7 is crazy, but I do think Scott Perry's going to say, I need something else, which is fine. They have a magnitude of riches. If we can get AJ Mitchell in a future first from anybody, that's good business. We need to stop saying, let's go all in to be the 10th seed. Let's just be bad, but give the fans something to watch. So that's how I think we should take this. What do you think about that?
The problem was all year with the Kings was that we were still trying to be competitive. What drove me crazy was all the fans who were like, oh, for the love of the game, you got to compete every night. I want to see my team go out and compete. Yeah, you say that now in January, and then you're mad in March and April and May, eventually when we lose and get the 7th pick. Like, does anybody register the fact that they won at least 2 or 3 games in March that screwed them out of the top 4? Congratulations. You played like the 96 Bulls in March. Now you're picking 7th in a generational draft. Like, and that's just what drove me crazy, man. And I have always felt this year they should have been playing, especially with Sabonis hurt and LaVine on his BS. They should have invested in the young guys. Now, they got lucky. They got lucky because big fella from Stanford, he looks like he's going to be a great player. Okay, what's his name, Kev? I can't believe I'm missing his name right now.
Max.
Yeah. He looks like he's gonna. He looks like he's gonna be a player, and I like Cardwell. So They kind of got lucky. They got some building blocks maybe they can build on. And I like the steps that Clifford took. But again, this is why they should have been playing the young guys from the start, because all the people that I would talk to would be like, well, we don't know what they're going to be. Well, hell, man, you won't know if you don't play them. So why don't we just get this out of the way now? Because we're not going to the playoffs. We were going to be one of the worst teams regardless, but they should have been trying to tank from the word go. And then they won 3 or 4 games in March. And here we are now looking at the second tier of guys. But again, as we've seen, we had the second pick many moons ago. We messed that up. We had a 7th pick and we drafted Ben McLemore. We messed that up. Okay. So it's not just about where you're picking. You got to get the pick right. That's half the battle. If you can't get the other half right, at least get the other half right.
Definitely. And Toddy, I think you're the perfect person to answer this question. How about trading up for Caleb Wilson?
I love that Uncle Manny asked this question. I wanted to ask you guys, is there a scenario that the Kings trade into a top 4 spot? I don't know how they're going to, what they would be willing, how, who. It's like okay, yes, it sounds good. It sounds great, right? But what do the Kings really have to offer to get into that top 4
Old
realm?
people.
And that's what I'm saying. It's old, expensive people. You guys really don't have anyone that's young and exciting and, oh my God, that guy has the potential to do this. You kind of do, but it's like it's not to the level of, can I get into the top 4 and trade for one of these generational type of players? Now, if Scott Perry is able to pull that off and trade, I don't know, Keegan and something to get into the top 4, would you guys be willing to do something like that if it means you're getting into the top 4?
Not for Caleb
One
Wilson.
of those guys.
Not for Caleb Wilson. If we're gonna swing, we need a swing, and we need to get top 2 pick.
I don't know if that's what I'm saying.
If we're gonna swing for the fences, we need to swing and knock that shit down. If we're gonna hit it, we're gonna hit it. We're not just gonna. We need to punch a hole in that shit. Like, if we're gonna swing, we need to swing.
The problem you're gonna have in this draft is, and this is why this draft especially is going to be real interesting, because you talk about the conundrum with Washington and Utah. Utah, an example, they have been all in on AJ DeBonsa since he was a prep player. They love AJ DeBonsa. They do not want the cash cow leaving the state of Utah. You're going to probably hear about at least 3 or 4 rumors where Utah throws multiple first rounders for the next 4 to 5 years or whatever, and they're going to throw out some crazy player. I know Ace Bailey didn't want to go to Washington. They might throw him in the package. You're going to hear about LA, the Clippers. Maybe they're trying to throw something in there. You're going to hear about other teams like Brooklyn who have nothing to lose, and they're going to do a lot of losing, so they got a bunch of picks. There's going to be, in my opinion, at least one team in the top 10 that moves up. How much, we don't know. But they're going to move up and they're going to give up an extensive package to somebody. And it's going to be interesting because it feels like in this draft, you bring up Caleb Wilson, okay? There's a big debate sparking right now with what Memphis and Chicago are going to do, because Caleb Wilson is the high risk, high reward guy. He was banged up in college, but when he played, he was a highlight reel. You kind of know already what Boozer's going to be, what his ceiling's going to be. He's not going to be flashy. He's not uber athletic, but if it all maxes out, he could be an 18, 20 point, 10 rebound kind of guy. Do you take the proven logistics, or do you take the shot in the dark, trying to swing for the fences to get the best result of the best high risk, high ceiling guy out there? There's going to be some teams that are going to try to risk everything for the farm to get into that top 4. I don't know who bites, but if anybody does, you never know. But there's going to be some teams trying to throw the kitchen sink at a team like Chicago and Memphis and all those guys in the top 4.
I saw something on Twitter that I really loved. We trade number 7 for Ace Bailey, and we get 2 future Jazz picks. And then they take that and they trade up to 1.
It's possible.
I think Ace Bailey be perfect. I think that's I talk shit about the Celtics, but they had the perfect model. And now we're seeing that with the Knicks. If you can have two-way wings that can really go, everything else comes easy.
The other thing, I don't mean to cut you off, Kev, but I want to bring this up. The other intriguing thing that is starting to happen here is that Darren Peterson, who did not have a great year of college at Kansas with the injuries and everything going on off the court, he came out in an SI interview and said, I was basically injured the entire time. I almost died. I was too big. I was cramping the entire time, full body cramps. I almost died playing college basketball. And now, is it starting to act like, okay, did Darren Peterson just try to put it on autopilot to get to the pros? And now it's like, well, you saw what this guy could do in high school. Like, is there going to be a team that is like, I really want Peterson. I'll take the risk because the idea of having two great guards is intriguing. And this guy could be the next Kobe, which is what some people compare him to, which is crazy. But I mean, does Peterson by draft night make up enough room to like improve his stock to where some other team is like, I'll take the flyer. I'll worry about the injuries later.
I really don't want to draft a point guard. I think there's so many other avenues we can go. And I wouldn't be mad if we traded for Ja. It's not going to take 7.
You don't think you have to trade 7 to get
Fuck
Ja Morant?
no. Hell no.
It's 7th rounder maybe right now, the way the stock is.
It's the perfect equivalent to Brandon Ayuk. No one's going to trade for him because they know they don't want him on their team. They'll take a future first. It ain't going to be 7, but they'll take a future first with Ja Morant. And then we solve that point guard problem, and then we can go somewhere else. We're not going to get Acuff because I really, in my heart of hearts, or I think we should trade for Darius Garland because they're going to draft a point guard at 5. And they're not going to keep both. So I think there's ways for us outside of the draft to get better at point guard versus drafting a point guard.
The jaw fall off has to be studied one day. I mean, I don't know how you go from like the face of a team and like 3 years later you're untradeable. Nobody will trade for him right now.
As a team that sucks, what do we need, Keith? Excitement. Have you ever seen a Kings player have a shoe deal? Could you imagine
Fox had the Under Armour deal?
A 916 colorway?
Fox had the Under Armour deal.
Brother, we going, hey, that's what we need. We need to sell tickets.
The problem with Ja,
tickets and gives excitement. We can get a Ja Morant.
The problem with Ja is, I feel like, is that every year that has gone by, I mean, even Zion has shown improvement with the diet, whatever the case may be, but there hasn't been one thing in Ja's game that he's really improved. In fact, everything's gotten worse. The athleticism, the injuries, he's not as effective in the paint anymore with the floaters and finishing around the rim. Never was a great defender. I mean, I don't know what I'm getting anymore. And he's never been a great shooter. I just don't know what the upside would be to getting him at this stage in his career when clearly he's shown that he doesn't have an interest in keeping it together. And then B, doesn't have really an interest in improving the game. Now the athleticism is kind of waning in his mid-20s. It's really sad to see.
I think he'll be a lot better in his second spot. Change of scenery is always good for some people. But, neither here nor there. The draft is a while away. There's a lot of things that can change this draft order. A lot of teams can trade. So before we sign off for the final seconds of episode 190, Toddy, do you have anything else to say about the draft?
I just think, does Scott Perry have the cojones to move up and trade somebody that you guys would not probably want to leave the Sacramento Kings, but
Keegan Murray. That's the only person we could trade. It's Keegan Murray.
But that's what I'm saying. If you guys could get that, if you guys could get into the top 2 for Keegan Murray and another first round pick, would you do it?
In a heartbeat.
I'll do it right now.
But what I'm saying is trading a 4 isn't going to work. Trading for 3 isn't going to work. If we're going to dance with the devil and sign our future away, we need Darren Peterson.
So it has to be for the number 2 overall pick. It's not for 5. It's not for 4. It's at least 1 or 2.
5 would be good enough to get Acuff, though, which is who they really, really like. I feel like if you can get in the 5 or 6 range, I think you're able to get him. Because the way I look at it, okay, no matter who's number 1, DeBonsa, more than likely Peterson, someone will take Boozer or Wilson. They'll flip-flop 3 or 4, but that's probably the order they're going to go in some form or capacity. Then it becomes, okay, you're a GM. What do you prefer? Do you want Vogler? Do you want Flemings? What about dude from Louisville? Moore, whatever his last name is, Mikael Moore. Mikael Brown. He had a up and down. He was another guy who was banged up in college as well. These workouts, these are going to be the most discussed, talked about workouts on every NBA podcast for the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Because all these guards are going to be going at it in these workouts. Because if you don't, you run the risk of falling.
I'm just saying is what do you do? You got to get rid of the bad contracts and you got to get better.
So, the thing about getting rid of those bad contracts, Toddy, someone's got to want them.
Somebody has to want them. And I think the only way you trade them, you can't trade them to a bad team. Because the bad team's going to be like, well, what about my young guys?
I was telling Toddy the other day, Keith, if we can be a part of a 3-teamer with the Giannis trade and get rid of one of them contracts, that'd be amazing.
The one you're most likely getting to get ready to like drop off is Levine because he's a proven scorer, a mercenary.
Well, Levine might not sign his option. I don't know a single person who's walking away from $50.3 million, but shit.
You never know with these things.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting what the Kings do. Somebody like Keith was saying is gonna move up because this draft, that top 4, like those are franchise altering players.
I mean, the Wizards said they're open to trading the pick.
Hey, phones are open.
Everyone's got one.
Everyone's got
a phone number.
Phones are open. The phone lines are open.
That is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 190 of Stacks Over Politics. My name is Kevin Dent. I am joined with Keith and Jaevon Totty. We will see you guys next week. Please continue all the support. Following us on all the social medias, YouTube, TikTok, podcast, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, you're going to find Stats Over Politics. So please continue the support, and we will be back possibly next Monday. Depending on how long these next 2 series go, it'll be nice to kind of recap these series and then go into the conference finals. It just kind of depends. You know, the Pistons and Cavs might go 7. The Timberwolves are going to go 7. So, you know, we're going to see. It's going to be a very interesting season, but thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Episode 190, we're 10 episodes away for 200, so turn on that notification bar, and when we go live, you guys will see us. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Like always, ladies and gentlemen, go Birds. Oh, geez. Awkward. See, this is the exact reason why we need Shaun, because it's not working. All right, this is awkward. No. It's telling me oh, shit. Orlando, man.
Oh, I think we're still live. What's going on, guys? Hey.